Yo dudes, welcome to the ultimate vegan ramen. So here we're gonna make our own dashi, we're gonna make a chasu marinade, we're gonna make a layu and bring it together to make a phenomenal ultimate vegan ramen. This takes 20 minutes, feeds 2 people, and is so worth trying. First step we're gonna do is we're gonna make our dashi. Dashi is a base stock that originally comes from Japan or possibly China, depending, excuse my cultural misappropriation if I am wrong. But typically it's only using 3 ingredients and takes typically around 20 minutes to make, as opposed to often stocks and sauces can take hours of reducing. So this is quick to develop flavor. So what we're gonna do in a pot here, we're putting 1 liter of veg stock. I'm gonna put that on a medium heat. I've got 2 pieces of kombu seaweed. If you don't have it, don't worry. I've got 1 tablespoon of tamari. How I love you, tamari. And then I've got 1 tablespoon of miso. Use whatever type of miso you like. I'm using a rice-based one because I want to make this gluten-free. And finally, in our dashi, which I know said should have 3 ingredients, it actually has 5. We're going to put in 30 grams of dried shiitake. Traditionally, some bonito flakes will be used, and obviously we want to make this vegan, so we're using the miso in place of that. So we're going to leave that to boil for 10 minutes. While that is boiling and just the flavors are infusing, we're going to start to make a layu, which is excuse me if I'm pronouncing it incorrect, but in essence it's a chili garlic infused oil, which is going to add more kind of fat flavor and just an extra component of flavor to this ramen. So while our dashi is coming up to the boil and it's just the flavors are infusing, we're gonna make our layu. Layu, as I mentioned, is a kind of flavored chili oil. So I have 50 ml of a mild olive oil or oil of taste. In on top of that, I have I'm gonna put that on a low heat. It's in a pan here. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of chili flakes, whatever type you like. So in goes our clove of garlic, and we're gonna leave that infuse for only a couple of minutes because we really don't want our garlic to burn. We want it to lightly golden. Okay, so our layu the garlic is starting to golden. Just make sure to stop it before it starts to brown. So in a sieve here, I'm just gonna pour through our layu just to remove our garlic and chili flakes. So I'm just gonna move our dashi over here and we're gonna take out our mushrooms. So using a slotted spoon or anything like that, we're just gonna slowly remove our rehydrated shiitake mushrooms and we're gonna chop them up. There we are. So we're gonna leave our dashi just simmering away, allowing the flavors to infuse. And while that's cooking, we're gonna make our chasu marinade. So traditionally this is done with meat. However, we're gonna use our shiitake mushrooms and our little bit of firm tofu. So in our marinade, I have 4 tablespoons of tamari. In on top of that, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of mirin. If you can't find mirin, just kind of leave it out, but it's a good essential ingredient. Mirin is kind of like a white wine that's slightly acidic and slightly sweet. I've got 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, in that goes. I have 15 grams of diced fresh ginger, and I've got 1 clove of garlic, which I'm just gonna chop up now. And in goes our garlic. Okay, so let's put our pan on a medium or high heat. In goes a tablespoon of oil. So we've got our rehydrated shiitake mushrooms. I'm gonna chop them into long strips. And they still are nice and grizzly from the rehydration process. Okay, our pan's nice and hot. In goes our mushrooms. Try to keep them on one side of the pan. In they go. Just gonna mix them around slightly. I'm gonna bring them over to one side here. Leaving the other side for our tofu. So I've got 180 grams or 200 grams of firm tofu. I've just dried it in a little bit of paper and I'm gonna chop this into longer strips. Pop down our tofu. So just turn your tofu, you wanna sear it or just brown it on each main side. Okay, time to cook our noodles in our dashi. I have about 150 grams of rice noodles or soba noodles. Use whatever you like. So once our tofu is seared on both sides, we have our chasu marinade. I'm gonna put 4 to 6 tablespoons of water so it doesn't caramelize too quick. In that goes. I'll turn this off the heat because I just don't want it to caramelize too quickly. And in it goes. Just add half it initially just to get it in there. And again, try to keep the separation between our tofu and our mushrooms. So let's turn our tofu and we're gonna add a little bit more of that marinade. turn off our noodles and our dashi. So let's turn off our tofu and our mushrooms. What's gonna happen is it's just that sauce is gonna seize and just kind of tighten up as it cools, so just keep it moving around the pan. Okay, time to start to plate up this epic ramen. So a few bits that I have to serve. I have some fresh radish and a few scallions that were spring onions as they're known. So last bit that I'm gonna keep for garnish, we grow these in our farm. These are organic bean mix. They're one of the most nutritious foods you can consume. These are sprouted mung beans, which originally a bean sprout would come from, and a sprouted lentil. So I'm gonna just put a few of these on just for extra flavor. Okay, so here's our bowl, time to plate it up. I have a little bit of nori just down the middle. It kind of just, often it's used in terms of serving our ramen. I've got our rice noodles out first. We're gonna pour in our dashi in on top of that. And now time to layer in our bits of flavor. So I'm gonna take some of our epic mushrooms. Radish just add a bit of bite and color. I'm gonna take some tofu now. I've got some fresh scallions. A few pea shoots, I just think they look very cool. A few little mung bean sprouts. Last and final touch, I have a couple of spoonfuls of our lye. And final thing that I did was I rehydrated one sun-dried tomato just before I started, just simply one sun-dried tomato. It just adds a sweetness, it adds an acidic, and adds a nice pop of color in the middle of our ramen. Okay, here we go, showtime. I'm so excited for this, and excuse my uncouthness. I don't have one of those lovely ramen spoons, but I want to get straight in with that dashi. Ah. So much flavor, and it's amazing because the rice noodles add a real thickness to it, so it has this beautiful, wonderful broth like to it. These mushrooms are like flavor bombs. It's such a beautiful dish that has so many layers of flavor and texture, and I think going to that extra trouble of making our own dashi, of making the layu, of making that chashu marinade, just like it's so full of flavor. This is magnificent. I hope you do enjoy it. Please try it, and please comment on social media if you do, because it's always lovely to see when people are cooking our recipes. Anyway, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let us know how you found it. Lots of love, and we do have our Black Friday deal on, which you'll have heard at the start, and please check it out. Lots of love, bye!